Hello, fellow residents of Sanctuary. It is the Beeve, and I have the patch notes pulled up here because I want to give basically my brutally honest review of what I've seen from the season 11 proposed changes and the things they've added for the next season as well. Try not to take up too much of your time here, but to jump right into it pretty quickly here. First off, we're gonna start at the bottom, work our way up. Capstone Dungeon returning. This is here nor there for me at the moment. It is something that's been reintroduced. It was like this in previous seasons where you had to complete a Capstone Dungeon to be able to move into the next Torment tier or whatever. And it's semi-fresh and new because we haven't had to do that for a few seasons. But with that being said as well, it might not be so. It's different right now, so it's not as bad. But in future seasons, this could be just something that's kind of a pain in the butt. Like it just seems like something that you have to go through and do, and completing all the different ones to get into the different torment levels is. Not even the torments, just to go from normal to expert to torment, like I guess that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Whatever. Um, One, two, three, four. Those are five of them to complete before you can get into Torment Four. Even. Uh, it's just a lot of extra work to progress at this point. I'm not gonna like this in future seasons, to be completely honest with you, and I'm pretty sure a couple other people are gonna feel the same way. The season change, the seasonal stuff here. It's a lot like the season boards before, but they've removed the renown and added the skill points and Paragon points. Well, I don't even know about Paragon points. I didn't progress through it enough at this point to see if there was Paragon points coming from it. But regardless, you have to complete seasonal uh, challenges to get your skill points at one, two, three, and yeah, I guess it does say Paragon points at 3, 4, 5, and 6. But like you're already a good bit into the game before you get into that 3, 4, 5, and 6 to get the Paragon points. Which, I mean, you're probably depending on where you're at in your season and what you need to be doing. I haven't really went through exactly what every season needs to be doing to complete it. Mainly because I've just been testing all the other different mechanics out. But yeah, with all this changing the way that it has, and the skill points being part of the uh, the seasonal boards and the seasonal challenges, and no longer having the renown, you literally start with one skill point. Like, before we would start with like 10 or 12 or something like that, and it would give you a little extra power boost to maybe even go into hard or penitent to, level a little bit quicker first off the bat. Not going to be the case now. Even though you're going to have hard or penitent unlocked immediately, you're probably going to want to stay in easy because you are only going to have one skill point. And uh, easy seems to be very manageable, even with just one skill point starting off. Monsters feel kind of weak, pretty easy to kill. But when you get into hard or even trying to go into like penitent, if you try to start there, you're going to die a lot, and it's just going to slow your progression through the seasonal pass and your levels slower. It's going to slow you down a lot. So easy is going to be where a lot of people, if not everyone, are going to be starting off just until they get enough points to go into hard or penitent and then start moving up from there. But I think for the sake of leveling as quick as possible, you're going to start every new season at this point if things stay the way they are at easy level. Not a big fan of how they took that stuff away, but it is what it is. I guess that's something that can be dealt with. The uh, the tower didn't even really get into it. I can't say I didn't really get into it. I didn't get into it at all. I have not. I have not entered it one time and tried it, so I have literally zero opinion on this. So we'll just move right past it. Now the next we're going to go over is your divine gifts. This is your seasonal powers, or as better put, lack thereof, because while these do add a lot of really cool things and give you the ability to level pretty quickly if you have the right divine powers in the right purified slots, you can get uh, extra XP in hell tides from killing maggots, and even double the amount of them if you have them purified rather than corrupted. It's a whole working system, but nothing in your seasonal, or nothing in the divine gifts here, this season's mechanic, gives you a lick of power. Like in seasons past, and even the current season, there were powers that were in your seasonal board that gave you some power right off of the beginning, that made progressing and leveling a little bit quicker. You're able to move into higher tier stuff because of these pretty quickly. Where now you're not going to be able to, not at least in season 11, because these divine gifts don't give you anything but some, like the one they're showing here. They have, this provides barrier if it's purified, or uh man, it's hard to read. What does that say? Uh Pangs of Duriel ambush you more often and have a 100% chance to shatter your barriers or fortified life with their attacks. And the rewards you get from this is the Pangs of Duriel drop socketables and hell tides, doubled if purified. So, and when they say socketables, they're talking about gems and things like that, and uh, runes, which is nice because like these things will drop like they'll drop gems that you can deconstruct and get and go into your pool of gem dust or whatever to make the things that you want. But I think most people find that it's pretty, at least with the last season 10, it was pretty easy to accumulate gem fragments and go from there. I have well over 2 million of each on my current PlayStation account. So, but regardless, the divine gifts, they're not doing anything but providing slight little things this one, a barrier every 20 seconds uh if you become injured, or a movement speed boost, or just small things like that. Nothing to deal with actual raw power or damage whatsoever. So losing player damage there. That's the first that's the first instance of damage loss that we're going to see in season 11 right there, is that nothing in your divine gifts provides any type of power or damage for you. Okay, I guess with this one providing a barrier, if you had a conceited aspect on, it would be giving you a barrier that lets you do more damage. But I mean, just to cover all bases is there, but that's a ridiculous thing to bank on, considering you have to become injured for it to happen, and it only happens every 20 seconds. But just to be completely transparent with what I just said. All right, so after that, we do have lesser evils invading different areas. This I liked. This I liked a lot. I thought this was cool. You have Asmodan as a giant boss that can be summoned, that right now is providing like 70 million XP if you kill him. Like, there are people that reached Paragon 300 in less than a day because they just sat at Duriel, or not Duriel, but sat at Asmodon and just killed him constantly. And when I was 220 or something like that, Paragon, and I would kill him and get a whole level, kill him, get a whole level, kill him, get a whole level. So I mean, if they don't change that, which I'm sure that's not going to make it to the live server, they're not gonna keep providing that much XP. Plain and simple. If they do, that would be crazy. So I expect this to be nerfed down really far, to be honest with you, to where it's not doing Asmodan is like 5 times more XP than completing a pit 150. Like, they're gonna change that, plain and simple. But I like the idea behind this. There's 3 different chests that spawn with him. You invoke him from one of those chests, and when you kill him, you get the rewards from that chest. So it's a really cool feature. I like they added him. I like this. This is cool. Duriel now being the boss in the Helltides, really cool as well. The maggots that they added to the Helltide, really cool too, I think. In Torment 4, they might be a little, well, we'll get into that here in a few, regardless. But the addition to Duriel now to the boss, rather than there being a Blood Maiden in the Helltides, I like it. It's a nice change of pace. They have added Ondariel to the Undercity. Now, I didn't really get a good. I didn't run the Undercity too much, a few times or whatnot, but this is something I like as well. It's a completely different aspect of or view of what can go on in the Undercity. I like it. I think it's cool, and I'm glad it's there. Belial is now been added to the pits. This is like what the pit looks like here. And you get these Belial shades that pop up and do damage to you. These little things right here, these are eyes, or little orbs. You have to interact with these, and they throw out creatures. They throw out elites. And then you kill them. It counts towards your progression. And if you close 5 of these eyes, you get to fight Belial at the end, who gives upgraded rewards or better rewards, and gives you an extra chance at improving a glyph. So, good rewards for beating him and invoking him and beating him as well. Plus, these little eyeballs, depending on how you have some of your divine gifts slotted, can do damage to you if you don't do anything to them. Like, as you're running by them, I might spit a beam at you or spit a glob at you or something to do damage to you. So, really neat. I like it. I like it a lot. The Fortify redesign, I can't say that I like it or dislike it, to be honest with you, because it is it's definitely different, but it doesn't seem like it has the same structure to it as it did before, with how you would take less damage when fortified. And you could really pump into that to make yourself hardier while you are fortified. With that being said, I think it's still okay. I'm not completely against it. I don't mind how it looks or how it works. So, the one difference with this is, to be fortified before, you had to have more fortify than life, or at the same amount. So if you're at 100% life to be considered 100% fortified, you'd have to have 100% fortify up to your maximum life. Where now, you're fortified as long as you have any amount of fortify. So even if you have 1% of your life fortified, you're considered fortified. So some of those damage nodes that you find in like Paragon trees that say, do more damage while fortified, you're going to get more benefit from those. So it could be a good thing. Healing updates, I don't like the 4 potions. I really don't, because they are only giving back like 35% of your health, and you only have 4 of them. And sometimes when you're taking that potion, you're taking it because you're on 10% health. So then you go to you go to 50% health almost. So what do you got to do? Pop another one maybe. So you might go through half your potions in one fucking damage. Like, excuse my language, but I don't like the healing updates. Now you can. There are still affixes you can put on pants that improves how many potions. Like a GA affix for potion will add another 4 potions. So that is definitely a work around it for sure. But I'm not real big on only having the 4 potions, but it could work out later on. How they've overhauled defense and put everything at toughness, this baffles me. I don't understand why we had to change our armor rating. I don't understand why we had to change the ratings for resistances and then smash them all together in one big toughness sandwich. I don't understand it. It just seems like a lot more that you have to decode at this point as a casual gamer like myself, and building into making your quote unquote toughness better is like there's a combination of so many different things. Like your maximum health is figured into it, your resistances to all your elements in physical damage are factored into it, your armor rating is factored into it. There are times where I'll have like a toughness of like 30-40,000 and running through pits and whatnot, and then and having no issues with anything. But then there are times when I'll hit all my buffs and everything will be running good, and this toughness will be over 1,000,000, and then you still get one-shotted by something, and you have no clue exactly what killed you, how it killed you, how much damage it did. So there's no defining thing to any of it. Whether not knowing the damage that something did to you makes it almost impossible to understand this toughness rating. Like, when my toughness was at 1,000,000 and I got one-shotted by something, did I get hit with 1,000,000 damage? Like, I don't know how I don't know how this is being worked. Maybe somebody else has figured it out and I'm just not aware of it, but I don't like it. It just doesn't seem useful. Seems like it's more of a headache trying to figure out now than anything else. Monster combat involved. Improved monster behavior. I don't know if I've actually seen that. Maybe I have. Deadlier enemies. Absolutely. Elite enemy updates. New affixes. Spawn, and then they have minions with them that inherit some of their affixes. Like, this stuff here is really cool. This makes you plan out fights a little bit differently. It makes you not run headfirst into things. It's different, and this is a good addition, I think. I really do. I like seeing new mechanics that I have to avoid. I like seeing new mechanics that I have to get away from. Some of them are a bit overkill sometimes. Like, sometimes when you close one of those Durio eyes in a pit, like 5 shade snakes will come out of them and like chase you down and just murk you. And like, you can't do damage to them. So like, the only thing I can figure out that you have to do from is just run. And then you might run into another pack of elites that throws a bunch of shit out. So like, there maybe needs to be a little bit better balance is what I'm getting at. But all in all, I like the new enemies. I love how they're color coded now. So if there's like blues and greens and golds, and like, you have a good idea of what you're running up on and what to expect in that fight. Be like, the gold ones are like legendary type of elites that, they stick out. They have a gold name tag. They kind of glow gold sometimes, and these ones are going to be a little bit more of a fight. So I like how all that's improved. I like the different enemies. I like the different mechanics. It's really cool. Sanctification. This is what I like to refer to this as the new brick feature in this game. This is the brick mechanic because this is what it does to your gear. Plain and simple, it bricks it. Like, sanctifying a piece of gear that you had or that you have, either applies a legendary power, improves an affix to a greater affix, adds a bonus affix from a pool of special sanctified affixes, replaces an existing affix with a random sanctification affix. This one right here needs to be just fucking taken out back and shot. This one's like a rabid dog. It needs put down, plain and simple. Because there's nothing worse than having a 3GA Mantle of Mountain's Fury and them taking the ranks to Hammer of the Ancient off of it, which was 9, and putting on what did they put on that? I can't remember what it was. It was something. It was like more bleed damage or something like that. It was. I mean, it literally bricked it literally bricked a 3GA piece of gear for me. Not a fan of not a fan of this in particular option. The indestructible one, preventing it from losing durability. I've gotten that a lot too. That can probably go as well, but I mean, turning getting another random greater affix, okay, cool. Improving to, adding a bonus affix is okay. Improving to another greater affix is okay. Legendary power is obviously what most people are going to try for, but from the looks of it, the legendary aspect is happening about 1 in 6 times. So, not a very good, not a very good chance of it. And when you consider like most builds have 30 or 40 different aspects that can be added, like your chance of getting something that you want is almost never going to happen unless you really just continue to brick pieces of gear until you get it to happen. But like it's like that's a cool in theory, but it doesn't happen enough for it to matter. Sanctification is an absolute nightmare. Like, yes, you can get something okay attached to a piece of gear. Sometimes it'll be useless. Sometimes it'll make it a little bit better. Sometimes it'll brick it. And most of the time it's kind of useless. I had a Shroud of False Death, the mythic chess piece, and that mythic chess piece is already indestructible, and sanctifying it made it indestructible a second time, so it was double indestructible. So the system gave itself the probability to make it happen a second time. So like my item, not only does that item never lose durability, it never loses durability twice. Ain't that something special? Just exactly what you want to waste a sigil on and then never be able to fix. Awful mechanic. I'm sorry. It needs reworked. Plain and simple. If it makes it to live servers the way it is now, then they are either not listening or getting really bad information, because this, whatever it is right now, is not working. And here we are to the biggest problem that we have. Let's go with tempering first. Yes, they've given you the ability to add whatever temper you want, but it's only one. And now all of your gear pieces spawn with 4 affixes, making it harder to get exactly what you would like on them. And maybe this wouldn't be a big a deal if some of those affixes that could pop on there could end up being like class-specific affixes, like, a cooldown reduction on an ultimate, or a ranks to uh, a passive, but no, like they're just they're baseline standard affixes. So you only get literally like one chance at a class specific tempering, where before you had two. You know, you had the ability to put two different on there. You like if you were on a ring, for example, you could put an offensive affix on there, and then you could put a utility affix on there, and that really helped. Now you have to choose between the two. You know, do I want an offensive affix to help me do damage, or do I want the cooldown reduction on my ultimate so that I can keep damage up? You can't have it both ways now, which now makes builds not work. Plain and simple. A lot of builds don't work because they either don't have the damage, they either have the cooldown to be able to throw out damage, but they don't have the affixes to provide enough damage. You get what I'm saying here? Like you're losing a whole class specific tempering, and it is your second point of player power loss at this junction, and it's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane that they would remove that. I understand that they want to bring a power creep down, but you're not bringing it down, you're annihilating it. There's a difference between reworking it to bring it down, and then there's a gutting it. And you're gutting it. Plain and simple. If things don't change the way they are with tempering, you're gutting it. Therein lies another problem too, masterworking. Masterworking obviously no longer provides us with improving our affixes. It just gives us more damage per second on our weapon, more armor on our body pieces, or more resistance on our jewelry. On a character, a barb would be mostly a barb carrying 4 weapons. You're going to get another 250, maybe 300 damage per second with all of your weapons masterworked. Whereas, if you're just using one two-handed weapon on a Sork or a Spiritborn or whatever, you're not getting that same amount of damage per second from anything like a barbarian would be getting when it comes to masterworking your weapons, and that damage per second doesn't do jack. I'm sorry, it doesn't. When you raise the damage on a two-handed weapon, when you raise the damage per second on a two-handed weapon by 95, that's what fully masterworking it does. 95, 97, somewhere in that range. The difference in the amount of damage done is not noticeable. Plain and simple. With all the damage numbers you come off with, you can have it not completely masterworked and run a tier whatever pit, and then go masterwork it and run the same tier pit. You're not going to see different numbers. If you do, it's by the hundreds or maybe thousands, and that's it. And we're talking about a game where you need to do billions to trillions of damage to clear higher tier pits. Not working. Plain and simple. Because of these temperings the way they are, and the masterworking not allowing you to stack up core damage or stack up passives or anything like that, there is another reduction in player damage, and that's a huge number right there. Because when you're talking about just with a with a barb, if you have like counteroffensive on a necklace that's a greater affix and you roll it perfectly, I think it goes to 5 or 6. I think it goes to 6. Now it's stuck at 3. Doesn't matter. Doesn't go any higher than that. Your ranks to core, like for your puddle pulverize build, Yeah, we were seeing builds that were carrying like 30, 32, 34 ranks to that pulverize, and that's really just pounding out the damage. Now people are going to have to be happy with 16, maybe less, maybe a little bit more, but maybe less. And once again, an instant of reduction in player damage. Uh, with that, with that being said like that, right now on the PTR, there is one build that I've seen, or one class that I've seen, that's clearing pit 100s. 105, 106, Barb. And right now it's because of the Melted Heart of Seelig. And, that Melted Heart of Seelig got reworked to where for each point of primary resource, or for each point of core stat you have, which is strength on a Barb, you get 3%, or, 3% max resources. So, like, there are Barbs walking around with 30,000 resources. 30,000. You heard that correctly. And because of that, and a passive on the Hammer of the Ancients that gives it critical strike chance and damage for every 10 fury you had when it was casted, we're seeing, perfectly spec'd out builds hitting 90, 110, 120. I've seen almost 200 sometimes. Trillion damage coming from that ability. One of the things that I've noticed too when running this build is that I think it's bugged, like a lot of the different things that I've ran across, and I expected that. It's the PTR. Things are going to be bugged, plain and simple. These builds are using that Rulamondi's Magnum Opus sword, and it's giving the bonus to me, it seems like it's giving the bonus that you would get from using that weapon, even though you're not using the weapon. So I think once that's changed, that damage is coming down. Because I've ran it with that sword, and then ran it without that sword, and I'm not using that. I'm not casting abilities with that weapon, like the affix on the aspect on the actual weapon, or the actual reads. When using this weapon, does 0.5% more damage per amount of resource had when cast. And even though I'm not using that weapon, I'm seeing a lot bigger numbers than when I don't have that weapon equipped. So to me, it's bugged, unless it's supposed to just work all the time now, and they just haven't changed the wording. I'm not aware of it. But, like, if it is bugged, like I am assuming, that's an issue. Because, like, these builds that are clearing the 1s and 105s and whatnot, they're not going to clear them. Plain and simple. And if anybody thinks, after seeing the damage that Melted Heart of Seelig is actually helping produce for the Barb, if anybody thinks that's going to make it to the live servers, you're insane. They're not going to allow that to happen. They're not going to let people run around with 30,000 in resources. Plain and simple. And if they do, then they're just going to put caps on all the things that don't already have caps on them when it comes to how much it scales when doing that. Like the adaptability aspect now says that it'll do it up to 500 resources, 500 maximum resource. They're either going to cap those to where it doesn't do that anymore, so that you're not able to get that, or they're just going to nerf down how much resources come off that anyway. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've played this build a lot. It can do a lot of damage, but if you get caught one time, you are dead almost instantly, because these creatures that are doing damage to you drain that 30,000 resources instantly. And then when they drain that instantly, that's when they start peeling off your health. And one of the aspects, one of the part of that aspect on there is you get all that extra resources and it pulls from your resources, but you have 75% less maximum health. So I got a barb that has almost 30,000 resources and like 2,500 health. How long do you think that lasts in a pit 100 when they drain all those resources in 2 seconds? Less than a quarter of a second later, bam, dead. Some people are good at moving around and keeping out of that and doing damage. That's great. But some people aren't going to be. I'm not the greatest at it. Once you get caught in a situation, bam, you're done. You lose all those resources. Now, those resources will come back, but until they do come back and you just have little slivers of resources, that Hammer of the Ancients is doing god-awful damage. And it's not doing anything because you don't have all those resources. Now, the Melted Heart of Seelig will bring back, if you haven't taken any damage for 6 seconds, you'll respawn all of your resources over the next 3 seconds. That's not always a good thing, because I can't tell you the number of times I've been in a pit and got killed, and it put me, like when I hit, go to checkpoint, I was surrounded by stuff, and I have 0 resources. So the second I spawn in, dead. Second I spawn in, dead. You literally just have to keep running away and dying until you get to a spot to where you can just leave the pit because you're already out of time. So I'm not a big fan of this Melted Heart of Seelig to begin with for that reason. I don't think it's making it to live servers the way that it is. And sorry I went off on a tangent there, but the point that I'm trying to make here with all of this is that the barb is the one build that's doing that. There's a rogue build that's clearing 150s right now, but that's because it's double, triple, and quadruple dipping like it's not supposed to, and it's just running through 150s, smacking everything. It's the Dance of Knives build right now, and it's not. It won't be that good. It's not going to be like that when that'll get fixed. But with everything that has changed, the way that they're progressing, or the way they're suggesting what they want to do with all of this stuff for season 11 and going forward, there's going to be maybe one meta build per class that might clear a 100 pit. Maybe. You might have 2 viable builds just to get into Torment 4 and do hordes. Torment 4 is no joke now. Like, even with max rolled aspects and a bunch of different greater affixes, there are builds that are struggling in Torment 4 open world. Their changes aren't cutting it. You're not going to be able to do high pit pushes. You're not going to be able to, push yourself to get to that 130, 140, and maybe hit, in that range. If they keep everything the way it is right now, I don't see it happening. And if it does, it's going to be one class, one build. I'm very much against a lot of the changes in this, and I have voiced my opinion through their feedback channels. And I really hope that they look at everyone that is making the same points that I should be making right now. And I hope they listen. I really do. The only thing that we can hope for at this point is for them to push season 11 out even further and try something different, make changes. But I think what you're going to see is they're going to continue with what they want to right here. They may rework it a little bit to where it maybe sounds good on paper, and then throws it out there for season 11, and it's going to be something still very similar to this. And then a lot of people at that time are going to be playing Arc Raiders or something else. Battlefield 6, Black Ops 7, whatever. I think that a lot of casual gamers, the non-streamers and whatnot, I think you're gonna lose a lot of them. I really do. I hope that's not the case. I do like this game. I like to come back every season and play it again. It's fun. It's fun for a little while, and then it does get stale because there's not always a whole lot going on after you get through your seasonal journey, and you find where your build pushes to and whatnot, and how far you can push it, and when you hit that wall, or at least for me, when I hit that wall, I'm like, all right, well, I had fun for a month or so playing this again. I'll move on to something different, and we'll come back at the next season. I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know if anyone will do that, besides maybe the streamers that are partners and stuff like that. They really need to look into this. They really need to change things, in my opinion, because if it comes out the way it is right now, we're chalked, plain and simple. Tried not to take out too much time, but I went on a tangent there, and I apologize. But thank you very much for tuning in. If you did, I appreciate it greatly, and hopefully, happy adventuring.